if I had to recap of like, why you decided to choose WordPress, just let's just say not on the marketing angle that we'll go into that in just a second, but just on more on like the production related reasons why you would. One would be for lower barrier of entry for training
Yeah, and more specific.
and more specific, already a viable documentation that's out there
Yeah,
and publicly that's easily accessible,
and
um,
ecosystem.
an ecosystem, a community, which is huge. And we'll touch upon that when we talk about like the marketing advantages of focusing on WordPress. But also it was knowing that like this framework that we will use will be limited. So we'll have to say no to some projects because as soon as you say yes to them, we'll have to then,
Mhm.
not use WordPress and use either another type of CMS or just a general programming framework.
Totally, yeah. And just to expand on that, it is kind of also a blessing in disguise too, because that meant we had a more focused uh, demographic of client, right? Because the
Right.
people that use WordPress are more likely to be mid-tier than enterprise level, or
Right.
even like super. I mean, there is that super beginner startup type of demographic too, which we tend to stay away from
Right.
that do use WordPress, but that could be filtered out, and then you're left with that mid tier, which is something we knew we didn't want to service outside of. We didn't want to do the enterprise or the big e-com shops and stuff like that because they came with all the other
Correct.
um, things that come along with being a big agency. Having a SEO department, having a marketing
Right.
department, having a design department. It's
Right.
like we're developers,
Right.
and we're full stack developers, right? So we just wanted
Right.
to you have what you want at the end of the tunnel in terms of a design, and we get it done for you, and you have your admin,
Right. And I think another thing I'd add
and
to like one of the benefits of like choosing, um, one CMS, not specifically WordPress, but one CMS is that you yourself, the agency and the team becomes more familiar with it over time as you're just putting
yeah,
hours into it. So when a customer
we can help each
calls,
other out.
not only ourselves, but like our customers, and I've noticed that most of our customers, they do contact us regularly for just general support on how WordPress works, how their website works, how to edit certain things. And that,
Mhm.
it's kind of lacking in the WordPress sphere for a generic user. So a lot of this documentation that's out there is really designed for like developers and people looking to maintain WordPress sites, build out WordPress websites. But most standard and those people that have access to that are people who are kind of like Google search experts. Like, you and I have been trained in how to search on Google for
That's your
just
primary job as a developer, as you're a good
a
Googler.
exactly. But if you're a marketing director or you're in charge of, marketing of your website and it's on WordPress, it might not be as easy for them or they don't have the experience in that. So getting information for them, it can be quite difficult. And you can't just call WordPress. You can't just call them and say, I
Right.
got a question. My this one page is working really slowly and I don't know why.
Yeah.
You know,
That's
s- and I feel like that's really been a big reason why we've certain like set ourselves apart is because we can answer those questions for the customers.
Yeah, no,
And
you hit it. You hit it on the head there. I think symptomatic of that is that there's actually too much information and resources in the space, and it becomes very disorienting
right,
to customers. And so for us to be there for them to like orient them and be like, hey, we know there's a million options, but actually only 20% of them are legitimate, and this is what you should look at. Like that's set us apart, definitely.